You know that quiet feeling, don't you? The feeling of being stuck, not in some big dramatic way, but in that strange silent space between what you want to do and what you actually do. It's like living in the land of almost. So let's imagine this feeling as a person. Let's call him Albert. Albert is a perfect mirror for this. Every single night, he has this clear, ambitious plan for tomorrow. And then every morning, something deep inside him just negotiates it down. It's not a loud defeat. It's more like a slow surrender, a quiet shrinking of what felt possible just hours before. I think we all know this moment. You're sitting at your desk, you're ready to start. And the cursor just blinks. It's not impatient. It's just time moving forward, whether we do or not. And right then, that's when a voice shows up. And the thing is, it doesn't sound like laziness. It sounds reasonable, gentle even. It sounds like it's looking out for you. Start fresh tomorrow, it says. And because it sounds so kind, so rational, we listen. And then, of course, tomorrow comes, and another thought appears. And this one sounds just as logical. You shouldn't rush this. You need to do proper research first. It feels so responsible. It feels like you're being diligent. And then you get the most powerful one of all, the one that can last a whole lifetime. It's just not the right time. And see, none of these thoughts feel like fear. They feel like wisdom. And that's really the core of the whole illusion, isn't it? It's the brain's first, most subtle trick. It wraps up our avoidance in the language of strategy, of being smart. But underneath all of that logical-sounding talk, something much quieter is happening. So here's the conflict that we almost never acknowledge. Our modern ambitions, to grow, to succeed, to change, they're actually at odds with our brain's most ancient programming. It's a strange thought, right? That your brain, it wasn't designed to make you successful. It was designed, first and foremost, to keep you alive. And its original rules are so simple, so primal. Safety over growth. Familiar pain is better than unfamiliar uncertainty. See, standing out used to be dangerous. Risk meant exposure. So our brain developed this really quiet, powerful bias toward what it already knows, no matter how unfulfilling that might be. So, what if we just looked at this thing we call self-sabotage differently? What if it's not a flaw in our character? Not at all. What if it's actually a protective instinct that's just misguided? An old system trying to shield us from what it thinks is emotional danger. Because you have to understand, to the brain, these emotional threats, rejection, embarrassment, failure, being judged, they aren't small things. They actually set off these same alarms in our nervous system as physical danger. So every time we try to grow, our own internal security system is quietly whispering, abort the mission. And maybe that's exactly why we stay in routines that don't really make us happy. It's not because we like it there, it's just predictable. The nervous system will almost always prefer a known discomfort over an unknown possibility. This is Albert's home turf, the land of the known outcome. And to live there, in that predictable place, we tell ourselves a story. It's a comfortable story, a very protective one. I could have succeeded if only I had really tried. It's a sentence that keeps a version of ourselves that we like perfectly safe. It keeps hope on a shelf, untouched. Because potential, it just feels safer than proof, doesn't it? Potential is this theoretical space where anything is possible. It has no final answers. But proof? Oh, proof is terrifying. Because if you try with everything you have, you risk confronting the reality that maybe you aren't quite as capable as you imagined. So the brain quietly negotiates for partial effort, just enough to protect the ego. And what's really uncomfortable, what's really going on underneath, is that we don't actually fear failure itself. We fear what that failure might expose about us, that maybe we're not smart enough or not disciplined enough, not special. It's that old feeling of being seen in a moment of vulnerability. Procrastination becomes a kind of emotional armor. But then there's this really weird paradox. What if on some level we're also afraid of succeeding? Because success means more visibility. It means more expectations. It forces you to change your identity. And to the brain, a change in identity can feel like a kind of death. It takes away the safety of being anonymous. It eliminates all our excuses. It kicks Albert out. So, This is the moment things can change. When all that frustration you feel with yourself gets replaced by a quiet kind of curiosity. Instead of asking, why am I like this? We can ask a much gentler question. What is my brain trying to protect me from right now?
And just asking that one question, it changes everything. The entire internal struggle just shifts. It's no longer a battle you have to win. It becomes an observation you can just make. That resistance you feel, it isn't a personal weakness. It's just a protective mechanism, maybe working a little too hard.
And when you start to see it that way, you can develop a kind of compassion for your own mind. You see that your brain isn't the enemy here. It's more like an overprotective guardian, and it's just using old rules it learned from past pain, from a childhood embarrassment, from a time when being vulnerable really, really hurt. And so that feeling, that resistance, it starts to mean something totally different. It's not a stop sign anymore. It becomes a signal, a little notification from your nervous system that says, hey, you are now leaving a place of familiarity. It means you're approaching a change in your identity. It means you're right on the edge of growth. So the work, then, isn't about becoming fearless. I mean, that feels impossible, right? The work is much gentler than that. It's about slowly and patiently updating your brain's definition of what is safe. It's about teaching your nervous system through small, consistent actions that uncertainty is not a catastrophe. And then, over time, something quiet starts to happen. That feeling of resistance, those internal voices of doubt, they don't completely vanish, but they lose their authority. They become background noise instead of commands, and you learn to stop confusing their voice with your own. Because in the end, you realize the real prison was never the feeling of fear itself. It was the deeply held belief that the voice of fear was the voice of wisdom. And when you let go of that belief, well, that creates a whole different kind of freedom, a very quiet, spacious one.